when undercover operatives, attractive ones typically, seduce someone to gain intel. It sounds like something out of a spy movie, and often is. But it is also, I promise, and I just learned this myself, a very real strategy. A common one even. And when a honeypot goes about the work of honeypotting, it's called honeytrapping, I'm told. I've learned so many things recently. Sounds sweet, it is not. The spies, again, known as honeypots, use the technique often enough that it is a very big national security threat. How big do you say? How about this? The U.S. government has now decreed that personnel in China, their family members as well, and others in the region with security clearances are hereby banned from romances with Chinese citizens. And another, by the way, there have always been strict rules to prevent honey trapping. If you're a government employee in China, you need to get a clearance and disclose continuous contact with any foreign national. However, that being said, a blanket policy banning relationships, just banning them, has not been publicly in place since at least the Cold War. Pretty long time. This new policy began back in January. It wasn't a Trump thing, it was a Biden administration thing, though it appears that the Trump people have kept it in place under this new administration. All of this, by the way, again, is according to the Associated Press, which broke this story not long ago. I want to know more. So to help us understand the threat, we are joined by CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd. Sam, this is I am naive. Apparently, I thought that this was the imaginings of Hollywood, but apparently it's the imaginings of espionage agencies all over the world. How big of an issue is it?
Well, Tony, in the global game of espionage, seduction is one of the oldest tricks in the book. And that's why the U.S. government has for decades required its personnel, including me when I was in government, to disclose any ongoing romantic relationship or sexual relationship with a foreign national. The U.S. government's goal has been to ensure that its personnel aren't being targeted by honeypots to get access to information and influence over policy. This shift to prohibiting U.S. government personnel in China from engaging in any dating game with the foreign national while on the ground really speaks to the sophistication of the Chinese intelligence services and probably the effectiveness of honeypots in China in gaining access to U.S. government information.
Well, Sam, that was going to be my next question. How effective is this? Because when we talked about this on the show a few days ago, I kind of thought, like, yeah, this is low-hanging fruit in intelligence gathering. It's easier to send out a honeypot to get information than perhaps gather intelligence via other means. Yeah. How effective is this?
It is an incredibly effective strategy. Foreign intelligence services want to get access to information, and they prey upon individuals' vulnerabilities. Loneliness, romantic feelings, sexual desires, those are a vulnerability. And we've seen honeypots be incredibly effective over the course of history. And again, that's why the U.S. government has required its personnel to report any of these relationships in the past, and particularly when individuals are stationed overseas, oftentimes away from family and friends and things that they're familiar with. They can be incredibly lonely and perhaps even more susceptible to exploitation and just not having their guards up when it comes to being targeted by a foreign intelligence service. Yeah,
people are going to be people. So I am curious, though, the spying, is it the kind of thing where, okay, you go to the bathroom to brush your teeth and then they're going through your bag, or is it more of they coax you into giving up secrets?
Honeypots use such a broad range of techniques, Tony. If you just think about how they target government officials, there's a lot of ways to meet someone to date these days, whether it's online, whether it's at a sporting event, whether it's at a bar. And honeypots can be incredibly sophisticated. They identify their target. They identify what their target likes to do, what their likes, what their dislikes are. And then over time, because they're so skilled, they very subtly start to solicit information and to report that back to headquarters. So it is a very well-oiled machine, often with direction from headquarters, and they've been quite effective in getting information from a range of government officials over the course of history.
So we've been careful with the language here. It's gender neutral. We'll be saying they, but I have a low enough opinion of men that my guess is that men are most frequently targeted, and most frequently it's a woman who's the honeypot.
Typically, it has been females acting as honeypots, and I will not offer comment on who's more susceptible to having their romantic feelings exploited by foreign intelligence services. But the truth is, Tony, when I was stationed here in D.C., when I was stationed overseas in Iraq and the Middle East, I had to abide by the same requirements to disclose anybody that was a foreign national that I was dating or starting a relationship with, so that a security officer could run a background check and make sure that they weren't a foreign spy. This shift, again, to prohibiting any kind of relationship overseas in China just really speaks to the sophistication of Chinese intelligence and the threat that Chinese intelligence just poses to U.S. national security.
Yeah, the threat must have gone up with honeypotting for them to issue this blanket ban. Sam, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam. It was great.
And that was today's By the Way.